Text in a black box doesn't look so intelligent.
So welcome everyone. Theo Ford-Stiegler here with Bowling Green State University's doctorate in organization development and change. This is our December 14th open house session that we are recording for folks to review if they so decide. We are excited to have some of you here that are interested, hopefully, in our program and a little bit around this idea of what is one's professional brand and how might this program contribute to you accelerating and or unleashing what some of that can hold. I have with me as somebody who will share some meaningful information with you, Tom Daniels. He has actually been around this block for quite some time. When I was lucky enough to get my master's in organization development and change at BGSU about a decade ago, he was one of the folks that showed up and supported that effort. Also have here a couple of current students in the program. Herb Holman is here and Hannah Stickel. Alongside me, we all three are currently in the program ourselves. We have some administrative and faculty support. Dr. Chatfield is here. Dr. Gorelick is a professor in the program that supports particularly the writing efforts in the third year of the program. Once you get to spending a lot of time with your keyboard to actually create a dissertation, she is a great support in that. And we have a recent graduate, Dr. Mannen, who's here with us. Hi, Dale. Good to have you. Dale was just hooded in the summer. Was it August, I think? Late August. So all those folks are here for those of you that are interested to hear more and ask your questions. If you don't mind, it would be meaningful for us to just maybe go briefly around the room, do a quick introduction. If you would be so kind to share who you are, what your credentials are, and maybe answer two questions. Why are you here? And what are you passionate about today, tomorrow, and this week? I'll start you off. I introduced myself. My name is Theo Ford-Stiegler. I am in the program, currently pursuing that doctorate in organization development and change. The reason that I'm here is to hopefully answer any questions for those of you that would be interested considering joining the program. The thing I'm passionate about is this idea of collaborative improvisation that I get to now investigate in research and with the support of faculty in the program. How can we get to more meaningful, shared and joined and co-owned outcomes of the many processes that we find ourselves in every day, rather than running around after the fact trying to wrestle people for buy-in, which increasingly I experience as a very transactional kind of a thing rather than having co-created something. I'm going to just pick on somebody, and then I'm going to ask you, once you've done a quick introduction, to maybe go to the next person that you feel you want to call on the screen. And I'm going to actually maybe ask one of our interested parties to maybe go next. Carla, can I pick on you to go next, to briefly introduce yourself and share what you're hoping to get today and what you're passionate about?
Good morning. I'm Carla Fitzgerald, and let's see, I graduated in April from the Executive MBA program at BGSU. I used to be a native Ohioan, and during my program, I moved to the West Coast, so I now work with Washington State University. What I am passionate about is just learning and, wanting to work with organizations to create environments where employees can show up as their authentic selves and be successful in those organizations.
Awesome.
And
thank you so much.
You're welcome. And so I'll just go with the next person on my screen, with this Tom Daniels.
Good afternoon, everybody. Tom Daniels, and I work here at Bowling Green State University about just over 10 years, in academic language, it would be 10 years in one semester for my time here at Bowling Green. Spent 20 years in corporate world before I arrived here at Bowling Green. I work specifically with our programs in our full-time MBA program, our Master of Organization Development program, and our doctorate program in organization change. And so it's been a great ride, and have had a lot of fun, especially these last couple of years with the doctorate program and with our students. And whenever I get to see somebody like Dale pop up who has finished, and I'm always kind of inspired by those who make it through, kind of persistent through, and also then come out on the other side with a lot of spirit still and interests. And so so what am I interested in? I'm always interested in just dynamics, the people dynamics, and specifically getting kind of the high performance folks. So so that's me. So how about if I ask Roderick, do you mind going next, please?
I knew my name would get called at some point.
Of
So my
course
name
it
is my name is Roderick Abernathy. I have been in human resources for longer than I care to mention, but over 20 years. I'm here because your program sounds very interesting, and it seems like it has all the elements of what I'm looking for to kind of help me continue to build my career. I have a master's of science and human resources management, so I'm looking for that next level. And the title of your program it feels like it would be what I need. I've looked at other programs and I just didn't feel like it had that depth of change and leadership and things like that. That's what I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about people, leadership, and change. So I don't know who else to pick on, so I'm going to pick on who I can see on my screen.
That makes good
Gerald.
sense.
Thank you.
Thank you, Roderick. Hi, everybody. Jerry Miklaus. I'm a longtime consultant in the healthcare space. I've been a partner at Ernst & Young and Accenture, and now with a company called Premier. And I lead a whole series of solutions that we bring to them to healthcare systems to help them navigate change in a very dynamic environment. But even given all of that activity, I've never undertaken any formal training other than my master's, of course, in change and leadership development. And I just feel that's a miss. And I feel that there's a body of knowledge that I could further leverage to help my clients. So that's the reason I'm interested in hearing more about the program at BGSU.
Who should we pick on next, Gerald?
How about Carly?
Carly, are you able to say hi?
And if so, you may have to give her a rundown of what she's supposed to say.
Yeah,
Happy
to.
Or maybe we'll go to somebody else and let her.
Yeah,
get
maybe
in.
we'll cycle back to Carly.
Oh, okay.
Yep,
Sorry.
no problem, Carly.
Bad
Yep.
time here. So
Yeah, so pick somebody else, Teo.
Hannah.
Certainly. Thank you, Jerry. I'm really excited to see all of these potential students on the call. My name is Hannah Stickle, and I'm currently in my first year as a doctorate student. I support the program as a GA as well with Teo, and I'm a plant manager for a chemical company called Lubrizol here in Bowling Green. I've been in manufacturing, though, for over 15 years, and that's really where my passion lies, similar to a lot of you who have spoken already around people management. I talk a lot about servant leadership and making sure that my operators and my team feel valued in their job every day. And that ties directly to my topic so far that I'm exploring with this program around gratitude and influential gratitude, and how you can bring that construct to work every day to help people feel like the work that they do matters. So I would encourage everybody to really think seriously about this program. I have a master's in operational excellence and kind of did a lot with business processes and lean enterprise, but I think coming into the change space really means that we all can use our skills to make a difference all the way down to the floor level where a lot of the magic happens. So I'm excited to hear from all of you and have some more discussion today. So I think if we're going to wait for Carly, we can pop over to Jeremiah.
All right, thank you, Hannah. I figured I'd go last. Nobody wanted to try to pronounce my name again. So hey, I am a graduate of Bowling Green State University back in 2002 with my undergrad in graphic design. That quickly evolved, and since then I moved into marketing and then into sales and then into more of a field operations role over the past 20 plus years. During the pandemic, I really started looking at how businesses were changing, how leadership strategies were changing, and it started getting me curious about that next level of education. And that's when I started researching this program, and I started learning about it. And I started my application for it actually, but then at the beginning of last year, I had the opportunity to switch careers. So I put a pause on that while I switched companies and moved. Now I'm part of Carrier Corporation, the largest HVAC company, and working through field operations there. But through the interview process, it really help refine like why this program interests me so much and what my passions are, because you get a lot of questions when you haven't interviewed in 15 years that you're not used to answering, that gives you a chance to self-reflect. And for me, the three things that I really care about in my career as a person, whatever role I have, is leading individuals, helping mature them through their career, finding their passion, making them feel successful, being part of an organization that's changing the world, that's making the world a better place. I think through the pandemic, you really learn like the company and what your values are and how that's impacting the world. And then the last piece, because a lot of people ask me, I've been in marketing, I've been in sales, I've been in graphic design, I've been in service. Hey, what's your real passion? Like which focus? And I don't have one. I can't tell you that I'm a sales rep or I'm just a marketing person, but it's vision, strategy, and growth. And that's where if we've got a group or a department focused on that, that's what I get fired up about. That's what excites me. So everything that I've read and heard about this to date falls in line with a lot of that. So that's why I'm here. So with that, I will pass it over to Carol.
Hello, I'm Carol Gorlick. I'm living in Irvine, California. You can hear from my voice. I'm a native New Yorker. I moved for my grandchildren, and I commute to Bowling Green for residencies. So I'm a traveling person. My passion is around taking cohorts, which are purely groups of people put together for some reason, and helping them become learning communities to produce results. And so I've been working with D.ODC since before it was approved, following the process for continuous improvement and integrating the structures and relationships. And I'm really privileged to work with the students in their third year to have residencies that help them get through the dissertation. So I'm here because I'm always interested in who comes, why, and what their interests are, to follow them through the whole process. So I'm here to answer any questions, but mostly to listen. And I'll call on her.
Thanks, Carol. My name's Herb Holman. I'm currently in the program in cohort 3, and I'm just starting my research. And my topic is police officer decision making, which is driven by my career. I spent 34 years in the highway patrol and retired in 2022. And I looked at law enforcement through the lens of an organization. Because it's a business, and that's kind of what drove me to the program and kind of what it offers, and a little better understanding, and hopefully get a better understanding of the decision making in specific context. So that's kind of what the passion was, or the interest was, and I'm here to support the program and perhaps answer any questions that you might have. It appeals to a wide variety of backgrounds and careers and whatnot, and I think mine's probably a little different maybe. So maybe I can help out in that direction. So with that, I think Carly said she's ready.
Yes, I am. Let me get back on here. All right, perfect. Actually, Herb, I just left law enforcement. I was a police officer for 7 years at BGSU. So Loved working with the student population, and I have now switched recently over in the past 2 months to the Office of the Dean of Students, and I am a coordinator of student conduct as well as conflict resolution. So I do a lot of what I used to do, but I get to do a lot of the after work of self-reflection and helping students learn from their mistakes and maybe hopefully make better decisions in the future. So it was a scary career change, but very similar to what I already do, and still, again, love working with the college students, and they crack me up. So I'm very fortunate that I found a career that still does what I love. A little bit about me is that I'm from Wisconsin, so you may hear that accent a little bit, but I did my undergrad with criminal justice, and my minors were in sociology, psychology, and women and gender studies. And then I got my master's degree in criminal justice administration here at BGSU. And I've always wanted to do a doctoral program. I just haven't found something that really fit what I wanted to do. My very similar to you, Herb, was I would love to make a really positive impact in the criminal justice system as a whole, and looking into how can we make that positive impact within law enforcement itself, as well as laws and whatnot. And now in this new role with policies, how can we change things to help our community as a whole? And so looking at different doctoral programs, this one piqued my interest, and then from hearing from everybody too, you guys really sound like everyone's on the same wavelength of, we want to make positive change. We want people that in leadership roles that people can come to and feel comfortable. So looking at different programs right now, but this definitely is intriguing.
Thank you, Carly. I'll pick the next person for you because you were maybe not totally clear on who's going already. I'm going to ask Dave, would you go next? Then we'll have Dale yet, I think. You're currently still on mute, Dr. Chatfield.
Hello,
There you
everyone. Dave Chatfield. Hi, Carla, from the Executive MBA program. I'm the Director of Graduate Programs here at BGSU, have been at BGSU for 13 years. I have a PhD in higher education and an MBA as well, and a background in hospital administration before joining BG some years ago. This is, to my eye, the most dynamic doctoral program in the United States of America. I'll let you explore and decide that on your own as we're moving along, but I'm here because my team, our staff, supports many of the features behind the scenes in this program. And I'm delighted to be here and continue to stay and to hear about each of you who are coming in. Tom, are we at cohort 5 or 6? 6, cohort number 6. So I'm going to stop talking, Theo. Thank you for the introduction, and we'll move right along. Thank you.
Over to you, Dale.
Boy, 6. We are indeed moving right along, aren't we, Dr. Chatfield? I was from cohort 2, and I'm here, like Dr. Gorlick said, to help, to support you, to answer any questions, share my experiences. It's I graduated, Jared, you talked about way back in 2001. I'm gonna take y'all back to 1988 when I graduated with an MIS degree. Now, I know it's funny, Tom, but I'm still here, still learning. We never stop learning, right? That's when we grow old. So in 88, I graduated from Bowling Green with an MIS degree. And so then I spent most of my career, the early part of my career, in technology sales, specifically with IBM and a company called Parametric Technology, software company. That was about $1 billion, but they were fast growing, and they sent me around the world doing a lot of work in a lot of cool places, which leveraged my MBA in international business from the University of Dayton. And then fast forward a few decades, and COVID hit, and I'm sitting here, and the work that I do, which is the business that I founded here in the United States, it's called the Drum Cafe. Drum Cafe is a brand which originated in Johannesburg, South Africa, and I was the managing director of African operations for PTC at the time. I saw the Drum Cafe and I was like, "Wow, what is that? Talk about passion, following your passion." So I jumped. Obviously, I wasn't married nor had children at the time, so I was able to kind of just, do silly things like that. And it's been life-changing. And so over the 2 decades that I ran the Drum Cafe, I saw anecdotally what it did for people and to people, particularly their well-being, Teo, as you said, their emotional and affective states. And when COVID hit, though, there was always an inclination for me to try to study it, the effects of bringing people together and drumming in a group, and find some evidence for what is happening. And the only way to do that really is through a doctoral program like this one specifically. Dr. Steve Cady knows the Drum Cafe, knows the brand owner. He and I met many years ago in South Africa, and I always knew that there's a reason we met, and that he'd be the right person to help lead me in the research that I wanted to do. And so when I said, can this sort of thing be talked about, Herb, what you talked about in law enforcement, and Carl, like, hey, drumming, and is that like doctoral sort of research material? He's like, absolutely. So the breadth and the creativity and the ideas that come forth, and the diversity of thinking and experiences and backgrounds, all are just blended so well under the great care of the leadership you see on this call here: Dr. Gorelick, Tom Daniels, Dr. Chatfield, future Dr. Ford Stigler, and others. And I'm here because that's my passion, and I can tell you about my research, if you ever want to get it. But it was an amazing experience, and I learned how to read, and I learned how to write, and I learned how to represent my thoughts as a leader in the space. And I can say that with humility, but with great conviction and confidence, based on these last few years. So I have 2 kids, I have a wife, and the job really never let up, but I was still able to finish it in 3 years. So this is important because of the structure and the support. How many people, gang, that are ABD out there, all but dissertation, they don't finish what Dr. Gorelick talked about in terms of the residencies and the care and the structure?
53% over 20 years are ABD, but we have never been able to find a statistic for professional doctorates. So that's across all doctorates.
Well, we won't let that happen to those of you on this call. So
absolutely not.
Yeah, good luck in your decision making. We certainly hope you come along and become a graduate of this great program. Dale?
Thank you, Dale. Yeah, so I want to do a couple of things. I'm going to sort of hand the Zoom microphone over to Tom. He's going to share with you a little bit some context setting. But after Tom speaks, I want to ask specifically the 5 of you that are here that are prospective students: Roderick, Jeremiah, Carla, Carly, and Gerald. If the 5 of you would share with us, after Tom gives us a bit of context and overview, sort of what is one question, maybe an invitation to think about that while Tom is speaking. What's one question that we were able to answer it today would help you in where you want to be in the journey along this path, whatever that looks like for you individually. And then maybe you can just share that. And I think there are enough of us here that have some context with the program that hopefully we can give you either a response to that query, and or a promise to get back with you with some better information urgently and as soon as possible. So Tom, over to you for the moment.
All right, cool. Thank you, Teo. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to share my screen. I promise not to PowerPoint you to death, but I think that I do have a few slides that are just for, I think everybody learns differently. Some people will be able to get clarity by hearing. Some people may need a little bit more from the visual standpoint and reading. So hopefully you can kind of see, again, my slides here. I promise again not to PowerPoint by death, but it does got to give you some context here. So what is a D.ODC, and what do we kind of cover throughout the doctorate program here at BGSU? And you can kind of see here's kind of like 5 big points that we focus on. And of course, you each have your own kind of area of passion or area of research. And we're not going to dictate to you what you should study or what you have to study. You're going to have your passion. You're going to have your interest of the space that you have and the knowledge that you want to, or the space that you want to do your research. And what we're going to provide you is the coursework to help support you through that process. And most of the coursework is going to focus on these 5 topics. And generally, of course, there's an et cetera down there because it does kind of expand. And of course, it's going to expand into that space that you're most interested in. By the way, the photos that I've used in this on these slides are photos of our students, our doctorate students who were participating in their international experience, which I'll talk a little bit about. But this was cohort 1. Cohort 1 during an experience back in July of 22. And this is a conversation we were having at the Tavistock Institute for Human Relations in London. So a bunch of those are students, and then we have some of the senior consultants from the Tavistock Institute who are participating there. This was actually kind of a fireside chat without a fire with some of their emeritus consultants. So it was a really cool experience for the students. So we'll move on here. Some of the benefits, right, in terms of for the doctorate program, what our students are really focused on are transforming organizations. And when we say organizations, we're talking about all types of organizations: for-profit, nonprofit, government, higher education, across the board. Even somebody like Dale, who's an entrepreneur, who's using a specific technology or a specific art to work with organizations. And I know Dale works with schools, and he works with companies, and he works with government organizations. And so you see it across the board. So we look at transforming organizations as a whole. Revitalizing communities. We have, again, students who are working in the public space, who are really kind of focused on how do we improve the communities that we live and work in. As you heard, Herb as a former state trooper, and so looking at even communities and what's that impact that they may have there. And developing human potential. Truly, that's ultimately what we're all, I think, doing. Because if we could develop human potential, all of these things continue to grow. So really the key is demonstrating impact without losing emphasis on the human relations and the people engagement. So why here? Why Bowling Green State University? What's the great things about BGSU? First of all, is elite accreditation. So one of the great things about our program specifically is that our doctorate program sits within the Schmidhorst College of Business. So it is a business degree. So sometimes you'll find doctorate degrees similar to this, and they're Ed.D, so they sit in a college of education, so they focus on more of a higher ed focus. Ours is specifically in the Schmidhorst College of Business. It is built, by the way, on 50 years or nearly 50 years of our master's program in organization development. So that program started in 1974. It was the first program of its kind in the world. And so the doctorate program is kind of that extension, that next level along with that. So our accreditation is through the AACSB accreditation, which is the gold standard for colleges of business throughout the world. Only about 180 schools around the world have both their business program as well as their accounting programs accredited by AACSB. So it is the elite accreditation that you can get for colleges of business. Competitively priced and affordable. The way that our program is designed in an all-inclusive format makes it priced in terms of competitively as well as affordable. We're never afraid to talk about the cost of a program. We definitely have that included on a slide a little bit later. Globally recognized faculty. Our faculty are heavily involved in professional organizations and professional associations related to organization development change. We also have faculty who are IO psychologists, so they're heavily involved in PSYOP as well. So you get to see across the board in terms of the faculty. Our accelerated program for working adults, all of our students are working full-time. All of our students have all of the demands on their time that all adults do. We do really focus on that 10 years of professional experience to make sure that our students are coming in with that experience, because other students are expecting the students that they're in class with to have that work experience, so that they're able to not only learn with each other, but truly from each other, because it is a cohort mentality. So you will learn definitely from our faculty, but you will also learn from everybody else, because as you heard with just those introductions, everybody's got different backgrounds and experiences, and you bring that into this cohort experience. So it's kind of a one of a kind of experience. Foundations and leading edge curriculum. So we'll start off with that introduction course and to the field and profession of OD and change, and we're going to then accelerate it into the different topics. We'll look at the curriculum as well. The course format, we'll talk about it. It's quite convenient for the working adults. The way our program is designed is it does allow you to focus on one course at a time throughout your program. And as somebody who's balancing work, family, life, being able to focus on one course at a time as you're kind of going through really allows you to be able to put all of your focus in one space rather than trying to take two courses and you're trying to figure out who needs what and how. No, we want you to be able to focus kind of as you kind of go through. We do have this really cool international study tour. I may even ask Dale to talk a little bit about his. I know he hated his. I'm just joking. But Dale, as you heard, Dale's traveled all over the world. And this, our experience is quite different than work travel or even traveling for leisure. And so, when we get to that, I may just ask Dale to share a little bit. And then practical and relevant dissertation. Your dissertation is not research based on what a faculty member wants you to do. It is based on what you want to do. So once you get to that dissertation phase, you are the one kind of directing the space for your dissertation, and the faculty are there to help support you in that manner. So it's definitely a little bit different than the traditional academic research, as our students are doing much more action research projects. And so we may even have, maybe we can get Dale, we can get Herb, maybe to share a little bit about their experience on there. So the curriculum is designed, there's a core curriculum of courses, some research courses. Students, it's actually now 6 credit hours of electives instead of 9. And that's because we added a course in the core curriculum. But the way that those are arranged is making sure that the electives are supporting your work in the research that you have. The way the schedule works is that there are about 14 residency weekends or person weekends over the 3-year design. The way that those effectively work is you take, so for example, this fall semester, our incoming students had 2 core courses. The first course was the first 7 weeks of the semester. The second course is the last 7 weeks of the semester. The weekends happened in about halfway between each course. So they started courses late in August. They went for 3 or 4 weeks virtually. They had a residency weekend, and then they finished that course virtually. And that course ended, and then they started their second course virtually. 3 or 4 weeks into that course, they come in for a residency weekend, and then they finish that course virtually. In fact, they just finished that last week, as a matter of fact, to have that second course completed. So that's kind of how the design of the program works pretty consistently throughout the first 2 years for sure. Then once we get to year 3 are what we call writing workshops, writing workshop weekends. And this is where Dr. Gorlick gets in to the mix. So Dr. Gorlick is our kind of facilitator for those residency weekends. And what we're effectively doing with those residency weekends is giving you milestones to work towards, and then also giving you access to one-on-one in-person conversations with your chair, your dissertation chair, to help you continue to move forward in your dissertation process. So it also gives you an opportunity to be able to reconnect with your cohort members, help each other, and support each other through that process as well. The international experience does take place during year 3, kind of towards the end of that year 3. It's July is the time frame. It's a 10 to 12 day experience. The last 2 years, we have visited Amsterdam, London, and Paris. You can see this photo is actually from, there you can see Dale right there, front row in the brown shirt. This is our experience in Amsterdam, where we were visiting the Free University of Amsterdam, the VU, as they call it. During our experience at the VU, we interacted with 2 global experts, one Fons Trumpenauer, who's a global expert on dilemma reconciliation, and then Dr. Sylvia Van de Bon, who is a global expert on servant leadership, and having an incredible experience of a little give and take in all these experiences. So at the VU, we also had an opportunity to hear from 2 nonprofit organizations, and then our students presented back to those 2 organizations based on what they learned, what the students learned about dilemma reconciliation, along with all of their background, their research, their experience, to be able to share some ideas and advice for those nonprofits in their with the dilemmas that they were facing. So it was really kind of a great give and take. And then in London, we of course we went to the worked with consultants at the Tavistock Institute for Human Relations. And then in Paris for this year, we had a great experience with Yeshim Harris, who is a conflict mediator. And what Ms. Harris talked a lot about was the Paris Climate Agreement. And what is the process that you get 196 countries to agree on a plan like the Paris Climate? How did that work out? Because sometimes we can't get 2 people to agree on anything. How do you get 196 countries to agree on some type of format? So, so that's kind of a general idea what that international experience looks like. So curriculum, here's some of the course names of your core curriculum, your research, as well as electives. Those electives are about supporting your research, your knowledge, your interests. Most of our students are taking online courses to fulfill those. Some of the most popular ones are courses in instructional design technology and media and communications in terms of strategic communication. Some of them are taking some of our MBA classes. So it really kind of depends on what the student is interested in, and we can help you in terms of identifying what those might be that would be beneficial for you. Application process is pretty straightforward. It all is completed online. We do not require a GMAT or GRE, especially if you have that 10 years of experience. Based on hearing everybody's background experience, I didn't hear any showstoppers. So I didn't hear anything where somebody may fall short in terms of that work experience. We do look for 2 letters of recommendation. It's always helpful if you can get a supervisor or a boss to write one of those. And then maybe it could be another one or a colleague. It could be a board president if you're on a board, something like that. Transcripts, we need copies. You can upload unofficial transcripts to your application, and we'll make an admission decision on unofficial copies. We will need official copies, or the grad college will need official copies from any schools that you had a degree conferred. And then a resume, I always tell people probably what you have, as long as it's updated, is probably enough. You don't have to pretty it up. Don't go crazy. Whatever you have is probably fine. And then a personal statement. This personal statement is more of a statement of purpose. And you see a little asterisk there because we have a little bit more insight on what that looks like. I'll share that with you as well. This photo here, you can see Dale on the far right there, as well as some of his, all of his cohort members. As well, Dr. Katie is one of the 2 that's on a knee. He's the one in the green shirt. And so this was in a courtyard at the Anne Frank House in Amsterdam, where we had this incredible experience to learn a little bit about the history, the background. It was one of the more fascinating experiences I've ever had in terms of learning. One of the things you may find interesting about the Anne Frank House is that most people just know it as a museum. And yes, it is a museum, but the amount of training and development and work that they do out in the community is unbelievable. The person to the very far left there is the historian for the Anne Frank House. And then the gentleman in the black shirt who's also kneeling down next to Dr. Katie is the former executive director of the Anne Frank House. And so it was one of those really cool experiences. Statement of purpose, here's kind of the format that we're looking for the statement of purpose. The one thing I'm not going to go into detail on this, but what I would share with you is that on our website, if you go to our website, the bgsu.edu/DODC, you click on the to apply, and the statement of purpose is actually a hyperlink. I want to make sure that you know that. Click on that hyperlink, and it's going to give you the outline of what we're looking for. So it does kind of work you through. I would like to say it's kind of a mini research paper, right, Dale? Sorry, Dale and I have a little history with this. It's all fun stuff, but just trying to making sure that you know that that's it's a little bit more in depth. I would say, some people stress out about this. Typically, it's about 4 to 7 pages. What people are submitting, APA style, are things that we're looking for. If you have concerns about it, you're always welcome to send it ahead of time and say, hey, Tom, can you take a look at this and see if you have any feedback before I submit it? I'm happy to do that. Just trying to make sure that you get what you need. So, so the outline is available. Follow APA. Make sure that you include references. Typically, students have about 3 in their paper. So some people ask about what are people studying? What are they researching? And what kind of studies they're doing? This is just a couple of ideas. Most of these were from cohort 1, but it does kind of give you a general sense of what people might be looking at in terms of research. And what you notice when you start looking at these is that none of them are the same. And that's exactly what we would expect, because our program is designed as a professional doctorate with students who have very wide ranges of backgrounds, very wide ranges of interests and research interests. And again, that's why our faculty are really set up to support you and through that research process. So we can send these to you. Another way to look at this is we can send you a link where you can actually look at the biographies of a lot of our students in terms of what their research interests are. So I think this is a great photo. By the way, I'll share this photo. This photo is from 1974. This is the very first cohort of MOD students in 1974. So they call them the MOD squad. And so it's great to have this photo and be able to show, hey, this is what our history is based on. And so, but down there in the black shirt, the gentleman holding the red book is Dr. Glenn Varney. He's the founder of our master's program, which again, our doctorate program is built on. Glenn is about 97 years old right now and lives here in Bowling Green, is still writing, is still active. He's still quite active. So in terms of program costs and program fees, the overall cost is about $75,000. That is billed on a per semester basis. So it's not a one-time fee or anything like that. It's billed on a per semester basis over the 3 years. It is all-inclusive, so it does include all of your books, all of your course materials. We have a number of speakers who come in. There's a number of assessments that you end up taking. It also includes all the major costs for the international experience. So it covers your airfare, your hotel fees, most of your meals, all access to all the events that we do as a group. So it does include all of that. So, and of course, fees are approximate and subject to change, of course, based on how higher things work. So this was actually a picture from our very first in-person weekend we had way back in fall of 19. Carol, are you there? Oh, there you are in the front, on the left. And there you see Dave Chatfield on the far right. But a number of our students who have already graduated are in that photo. But there's a link to our website. You see my name and email address, as well as Dr. Katie's email address, Dr. Katie being the director of the program. Of course, you're always welcome to contact either one of us with any kind of questions that you might have specifically about the program. So that's all I had from a sharing standpoint. So I'm going to shut that down. I see there's a bunch of questions or a bunch of things in chat. I'm not looking at them yet, but Teo, I'm going to turn it over to you after sharing and just kind of spewing some programming.
Sure. Yeah, so rather than continuing presenting information to you, I really would love Roderick, Jeremiah, Carla, Gerald, and Carly, if you have a question that you want to ask of us, I want to give you time to ask that question and for us to answer it, because we can always connect more and share more information. But is there something that would be meaningful for us to answer for you right now here today?
I think I would love to hear maybe from, if you don't mind, Dale, maybe since he's a recent graduate, like to hear that it's a 3-year program or can be done in 3 years is fantastic, right? But like, how hard was it? So
it was easy, right, Dale?
Yeah, it's a breeze.
Piece of cake.
Yeah, did it on my lunch hour, Roderick. You have to commit. It's a commitment. So hopefully you have really loving people at home to support you through the program. The structure is there for you to take advantage of, and it's I know life happens, right? And I don't need a blue ribbon for finishing in 3 years, and there's no points deducted for someone who graduates after 3 years. The point is that we all get there, and you end up being Dr. Abernathy, and no one asks you when or how long it took you, right? But it is I think we have to look in the mirror and ask ourselves if we're that kind of person. You all are successful professionals, and you know what you're good at, and you know if you're the committed type. You're here spending your personal time on this call. It tells me already, right, that you're that kind of person. And that's all it takes, is really just that introspection to say, I'm in. Dr. Katie used to tell me, August in 3 years is going to come anyway. Why don't you just, become Dr. Monin when it rolls around? And again, life. And Hannah, I saw that, you got another baby on the way. Congratulations. It's exciting. So those things are, go on, they happen. And, but I think it's a personal choice and a personal commitment, but it's the program and the structure is absolutely there for you. It's not made up. It's not any sort of fabrication, any sort of marketing ploy. It's real.
Thank you.
Did that help?
Yeah, it does. Absolutely. Thank you.
If I may add, I think the expectation that is realistic is you need, and all of us are different, right? But I think if you can't dedicate 10 hours a week toward your studies, your research, the thing that you're already passionate about, you're probably going to struggle. To me, the thing that I have had conversation with many of my colleagues, other cohort members, folks interested around this, if you have something that you're passionate about, it's going to be very different versus I'm coming in, I'm not sure, I have to do these readings, right? The ones that, like Dale, that have told me, like, I was trucking because were folks that shared stories with me, like, this is my passion, this is what I wanted to work on. And I had all these wonderful supports and ways to interact with people around supporting me get there. That's what has made the difference.
So glad
Gerald,
you said
please,
that, Teo.
Gerald, please go ahead.
Oh, thanks. So this is a question I've had sort of lingering in the back of my mind as it relates to leadership programs and change management programs. Obviously it's focused on the human element of change, of course, but we're all impacted by the macro environment. In particular, my thought is around technology and the impact of technology on humans and the change that's and change that's associated with that. Obviously, I think with artificial intelligence becoming a much greater part of the technology milieu we'll all be dealing with, that's going to have an impact as well. How do you address the role of technology in change in the program in any kind of formal capacity? Does it come up?
Yes.
How do you address that topic?
So I don't know if there's a blanket answer that I want to offer in terms of this is how exactly we do it, because it is, as you're saying, something that comes up in the everyday, as well as something that is moving so fast that I think, let's say, Gerald, you decided I am going to commit, I'm going to start, I'm going to join cohort 6. By the time your cohort starts next fall, things will have moved enough for the program to likely have to adapt. This is what we're currently doing versus this is what AI looks like now. We happen to have a director of the program who has in his research focused that exact topic. He's very much interested in looking at AI and the impact on the human side of change. One of the things that you'll hear Dr. Katie inadvertently say in a future session is around the consideration that very likely, according to some experts, as early as 38, we will be in a place where there's going to be people that manage AI and people managed by AI. And so that will directly affect on what we look at in the program. For one technology, we leverage it in the program all the time. We use video conferencing, we use cloud storage, sharing. We use shared review tools, software, and so on and so forth in the day-to-day of the research effort that you would be engaged in with your cohort and your colleagues. And increasingly, we have individuals in our cohorts that are making part of their research focus the influence of AI on whatever they are looking at. Hannah and I have a colleague in cohort 5 who's very much looking at the influence of artificial intelligence on marketing in general, and on the effects of AI on how people perceive themselves in the context of the beauty industry specifically. So you'll have interaction both at the general level with what is the influence on our field of organization development and change that is moving all the time in AI, that is becomes a theme in our coursework, as well as in the individual research efforts that your colleagues likely will engage in.
Okay, thanks.
I don't know if any of my colleagues want to add to that. Is that helpful, Gerald?
Yeah, it is. I'm glad to hear that, it's addressed in the program. Obviously it's going to have an impact on all of us in many aspects of how we manage through change, and it will stimulate a lot of change. So I'd like to, ideally it's something that we become as students much more knowledgeable about than we are coming in, unless of course we're IT professionals coming in.
And we have some of those.
Yeah.
We have somebody who runs a data center, very, very large data centers, and has asked the same questions. So it's coming up more and more, makes sense. We also have faculty who is very much on top of this because they're seeing how it's impacting student work. So it's top of mind.
And it'll change and evolve, hopefully to just keep up.
I think there's something I really want to say in response to the 3 years. It is absolutely possible, and all the structures have been put in place so that people who want to graduate in 3 years can do that. And in most cases, people have had to segment what their research for dissertation is versus what their research agenda is. And that's the biggest challenge, is to carve out for the dissertation phase what's realistic in the time frame that you want to graduate. And Tom, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the statistics are cohort 1 had 13 students go through the 3 years. 7 graduated in what you call 3 years in August. Another 5 graduated in April, which technically is 4 years, but it beats anybody's average. That was 92% of cohort 1. And the one person who didn't graduate had 2 babies. So Hannah is going to show us that you can do it and have a baby right in the middle of a residency.
Yeah,
We'll all be at the hospital, though.
She's going to get more congratulations than has ever happened before. Yes, Dale, super mom.
So Carla and Carly and Jerry, I'm sorry, Carol, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I do want to make sure that
yes,
Carly,
I just
Carla,
wanted
and
to
Jared,
make
if you have
sure that
questions.
you didn't leave
Right.
with that as it's either 3 years or you're less than.
And the key to it is, I think, the flexibility, right? If you can't do it in 3, the program will work with you to figure out how does it work for you? Carla, Carly, or Jeremiah, anything that we should?
I guess I'm just kind of curious about a little bit more about this international piece. How long is that? What is it?
Yeah, so
Besides
that's
trip?
it's a 3-month trip. No, I'm kidding.
I was like, well, I'm glad. Bye.
So Dale, can you maybe give a little, maybe a 2 or 3 minute,
Yeah, 2 minutes all we have.
experience? Yeah, you just came back.
First class. it's first class. I mean, it's, you think you're going for 12 days, and sure, you know, you miss your family and all that, but we literally, it was white glove. I mean, imagine going on a trip as a grown up and being cared for like a child. I say that with respect, right? Like meals are there, hotels are there, transfers are there, boom, 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 and the learning is there. Like blue chip professionals and educators. So I was kind of like, oh, you know, that's a long trip, you know, and all this thing. But I miss it. Tom was showing the pictures, and I was like, oh, I was missing my cohort mates and the experience, and I got a real warm feeling inside. It was lovely.
I think it was like a 2-week trip, Dale.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, it's about so students flew out Tuesday evening to get there on Wednesday, and then flew back on a Sunday, like, you know, a little over 10 days or 11 days. So,
and we had a couple that were had never been out of the country before, and so there was some anxiety there. But again, it goes to reinforce the care that they were given to make them feel safe, physically and otherwise, of course.
Is that enough, Carla or Carly? For now, anyway. Yeah.
So
The
we
question
are,
that I'm sorry.
yeah, go ahead. No, please
Oh,
go
I'm
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
The
Go ahead,
question that I had was answered in the chat, and that was about the residencies and, you know, the frequency that they would occur. So I'm all set in terms of questions.
Please, by
Carla,
all
I did the
means.
program from San Antonio, Texas, Carla. So probably in your boat, where I've just, you know, come in for the residencies, and it is something to consider because that's, you know, no one flew me in. You know, we have to get ourselves there and you know, accommodation, that sort of thing. But just, you know, be mindful of that if you're remote. But
yeah,
the virtual
absolutely.
part of it and technology is easy breezy.
Perfect. In order for me to finish the EMBA program, you know, I had relocated in the middle of that program, so I had to fly back from Washington. So a little challenging, but it's doable, especially if you're committed to it.
That is freaking flyer miles.
Exactly. I want to honor your time commitment for being here. I really appreciate you spending time with us. I hope that we were able to answer some questions. Please, by all means, find myself, anyone here on the call, on LinkedIn, connect with Tom. If you go to the D.ODC website at bgsu.edu/DODC, there's a contact email there that eventually would get to Tom or myself or Dr. Chatfield or anyone that needs to respond to a relevant inquiry that you may have. So thank you so much for being here. You will get a recording of the session after the fact, as well as a follow-up from me. So I look forward to connecting with you further if that is something you're interested in doing. Thank you all so much, Herb and Dave and Carol and Dale and Hannah and Tom, who had to leave, for being here. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Well
everyone.
done, Teo.
Bye all.
Bye-bye.